Okay, so let's set some simple keys on these. These presets that we were working with, they are there for us, and they're going to come inside of here unless I click on this little eye icon to hide this layer just like inside of Photoshop or Illustrator. Okay, I'll click that. It's hidden, so now it's going to be out of sight, out of mind for the moment. We could bring it back when we need to tweak it or do anything like that. If we do some just basic animation, we can do something super simple. Let's say that the background is maybe something that I want to, focus in on. I could select the texture of the background. Sorry about that. And come over this way. I'll hide the guy layer. And then we have the texture of this. And we have properties below here that I need to click this little arrow to drop down and get to some of the properties. Each layer is going to have this transform property. I can click the arrow to drop that down. And then I have some properties that I can animate. Okay? Let's just say that I wanted to do something simple like opacity. Opacity is at 100% here. You're going to see that if I click and drag this, I can change the opacity. Okay, and in this case, if I hide my background layer, this is what it would look like on a television because it would fill it with black. Okay? After Effects would fill whatever is not visible basically with black. So if everything's hidden, the screen in the back would be black. So that's what it would look like. I could always type a value in. So in this case, I could type in 100 and bring that back. Now, if I want to set keys on this thing, I could say that at the very beginning, wherever my current time indicator is, that is going to be where a keyframe is created. So if I drag this to the very beginning, then I can key my opacity. Okay? If I click the stopwatch with my left mouse button, I've set a key. And After Effects displays it as such. We saw that in the previous tutorial. That's a keyframe. And it happened where the current time indicator is. It's showing that this is at 100%. Okay? If I move that keyframe, which I don't have to, but if I move it out to maybe right there, the current time indicator has no keyframe right here at the beginning. Okay? So what I could do is I could create another keyframe by either clicking this little icon over here or changing the value on the opacity layer. Okay? I don't want to hit the stopwatch again because clicking that stopwatch again would get rid of all my keyframes. So if I did it, then that's gone. If I had a lot more keyframes than that, they would all be gone. But this is an undoable feature. So if I hit Control Z or Command Z, I can bring that back. The next part is that I can, either click this to set a key, and there's a key right there. Wherever I am with the current time indicator, I can set a key by clicking that. And it's pretty good, okay? I can hit undo, so Control Z or Command Z twice to get rid of both of those keyframes. And then I'll come over here and I could just change the value for another way of setting a keyframe. So I can click and drag this, and After Effects will recognize that I've changed the value and it will auto key what I've changed. So it sets a keyframe at 0 in this case, and then this background's going to fade in. So if I were to play this back, it fades in. My text is not there. So if I turn the text layer back on by clicking the eye icon, there we go. Okay. I'll turn the text back off. I'm going to go hide that text layer. And I could say, well, maybe I want to give this about a second of time before the animation comes in. I could drag a marquee around the two keyframes. It could be a tiny marquee, as simple as this right here, super tiny. Or what I could do is I can come over here and click on opacity right there. Okay. So if I had these deselected, I'll just click off of here with my left mouse button. They're deselected. If I come over here to the opacity, I'll click that. That will select all of my keyframes. Then I can just move them. Just click and drag them with my left mouse button. Just like that. Okay. Now this is going to be a black screen for about a second, and then it's going to populate the animation right here. So if I hit the spacebar, there we go. Pretty nice, right? I think so. So if I want to change the animation, so if I hit this spacebar again, that actually comes in pretty nicely. But if I want it to be super fast, all I have to do is deselect the keyframes, and I can move them closer together. If I bring this one in, or the other one the other way, the opposite way, this one that way, I hit spacebar, boom, it just pops right in because I'm giving the background less time to do the same amount of animation. So to fade in from 0 to 100%, I'm giving it less time to do so, so it happens faster. It happens more quickly. Okay. If I wanted to really have this thing fade in, I could separate the keyframes further apart, and I'm giving the same animation more time to do that animation and go from 0 to 100%. And look at the difference. Okay, I kind of like to pop a little more, so maybe something like that's fine. Okay, and this is a tiny animation, so I could just drag those over a little bit more. So I have a little bit of black screen for just a few frames. And again, this is just an example. So for your animations, you would play the entire thing and see how that works for you. So I set keys there on opacity, and I could do the same thing for the guy. So if I collapse this layer and then I reveal our person here, I can do just basic effects. I could drop this down, drop down the transformation, and I'll go over to maybe something like scale. Okay. I'll click on scale, come over here to the stopwatch, click on that with my left mouse button. That's going to set one key. And I can say, all right, well, it fades in, and then maybe I want this person to come in. So I'll just drag this over a little bit. And then I can come over here and say, all right, well, where I am currently, I'll just put the scale to 0%. And you're going to notice that what happens is it appears that he disappears, but really he's just not there with the scale. It's just so minuscule that he's pretty much invisible. And this little icon right here, this little chain link, means that both the X and Y coordinates are locked. So if I change the scale in one of them, they both change. See that? Or inverse, yeah, that's always a good one, right? We do it so large that he just kind of inverses in like that. But I'll just select this with just clicking on it with my left mouse button, typing in 0 and hitting enter, and there we go. That looks pretty good. He's not there, but check this out. Let's test this animation. I'll come to the beginning, hit the space bar. Okay, and that's not super fast, but I could select these, and here's a good way of comparing. If I select all of these layers, the ones that I'm working with, I can make them all visible, that's fine. If I hit the U key, the Uber key, just hit the U key, that will show or reveal my keyframes, okay? So the text is coming in right about here. I can make that a little bit shorter, and I can have that align. So I could select my keyframes and then kind of drag them over a little bit. Select the keyframes of the guy here and drag them over a little bit. And I'll just have that pop really quick. So if I come to the beginning, hit the space bar, that's pretty fast. So I could really extend it a bit. Kind of like this. Now if I want to make this pop a little more, I would generally use the graph editor. But just to give you an idea of what I would go for is that I can actually say, well, this is going to go to about 94% when I come to this keyframe right here. It's saying 94, so that's as large as he gets. I could make it pop with keyframes in this case, which I wouldn't usually recommend. I would go to the graph editor, but without showing all of that, I can do it in a separate lesson from this. I can actually scale this up to give you an idea of what I might want to do with this. So maybe something like this. You'll see that now my animation, when I play it back, kind of gives that, you know, poppy look. Maybe I'll give it less time to do the same amount of movement animation right there. Boom. That's a little better. It's a little more poppy without getting into the graph editor and possibly confusing everybody. Okay, so you would start getting the movement that you want. Again, I would keep refining this for a minute. I can play with the graph editor a little bit, maybe give you an introduction to that part in a next tutorial. But this is just basically setting keyframes on this. I could always, key other things. Like I would put a spin on this thing right now, but it wouldn't look very good. So let me see if we have any other things that I can play with. I'll click down here to deselect. You could always go up to, I think it's under edit. It might even be layer. There is a deselect somewhere. When you go beyond multiple programs, sometimes you forget. There it is. Edit. Deselect all. So Shift Control A. When you get enough layers, that's going to be the easiest way to do it. Either go up to Edit down to Deselect all, or remember these hotkeys. Control Shift A. Or Command Shift A. Okay? To deselect. And then I can select this person, drop down this arrow, click it again to get back my properties, all of my properties. And I have position. So I could say, well, let's see what it'd be like if I took this person. I don't know what this is going to look like because I don't know that I would normally do this, but hey, why not try? I'll click on position right there. So he's going to be in this position. And I'll go towards the beginning here where this keyframe is. And I will put the position in X. This is X. The first one is X and Y. So X is going to go left and right. Y is going to go up and down. But I could take the position and drag it on the left. And you can see at the very top, this is where the person is. This little icon here. If I hide my texture layer, you can see it more easily. That is it. That's what I'm moving right there. I can click and drag. And if I want to drag more quickly, in increments of 10, I can hold down Shift, click with my left mouse button, and drag to the left. Okay? I'm not sure what my computer's doing. It's not liking something. So I'm getting some little weird glitchy stuff. But here we go. So now he's going to come in from the left. And let's see what this looks like. Can't imagine it's going to look great, but let's see. I might be surprised. It's not bad, actually. It's all right. Don't know that I would do that, but again, play with this. Play with some of these. If I didn't like that, I could just come to position and say, well, I didn't care for that. So where I am, I'd move the current time indicator where I want this person to be, like the last keyframe or later, and I would just go click on the stopwatch, and that will get rid of all the keyframes on position, okay? And sometimes for these, there are different things that you can add. I don't really have properties right here to add in After Effects, but if I wanted to emulate something or, kind of play with some of the effects, I could have a layer selected like this person, and I could do different things inside of the effects and presets. So I can hide the animation presets, and maybe I could find one for an image. So I could drop the text down, and I could look for, there is transitions, so I could do a transition to dissolve in. Instead of having him, scale up, I can have him dissolve in. Or I could do something different like special effects. Let me see. These are based off of images. Oh, bad TV warps. Yeah. Motion errors. Let's find out what motion errors is. Well, night vision could look kind of cool with this. Let's try night vision. I'm going to double click on that. Add me some night vision. The bad part is it does it to the full picture. So it's not recognizing that he's cut out. I would have to put a mask on him to do this. But this night vision is kind of cool, watch. It has like that staticky night vision effect. And boom, he pops in. Okay. But I don't like that. And I would have to make a mask, which is super simple to create a mask. That I could even just take the pen tool up here. And you played with the pen tool. I'm inside of Photoshop, Illustrator. But I'd be able to draw this thing out. I have to check my computer. I think it's having a meltdown. So let me just do a really poor job because for some reason my computer is not liking this. Oh, let me undo this. I don't want that shape layer. I need to have the person selected. And you're going to see that I would draw a mask around him, but let me just, kind of do something real quick to show you that it would work. And pretend that's a good mask, okay? But if I were to draw something like this, it would put a mask on here, and it looks like it's not caring too much to even have the mask. Let me see the mask here. Add, yeah. So the effect is still paying attention to the entire image on here. So I would have to add an alpha channel to this image inside of After Effects instead of using layer masks. So some of these effects probably aren't going to work on an image like that. So we're not worried about them too much. I could make separate tutorials for that, but right now I'm not going to worry about that. I can take this effect and I can delete it. I could play with some of the settings and see if that's something I want. But again, I wouldn't want this. I would want it to be on just the person, or I'd have to make that very apparent. Okay, so what I could do is I could take the effects and I could just select them inside of here, because I have the project panel right here and I have the effects controls right here. I could select them and just hit delete. And that would take them away from our person. Although that last one, if I only had that on, that's not too bad. And it gives it kind of a, yeah, it gives it kind of a texture. So, I mean, you could leave that. If I did want to leave them all in here, you could leave all of them in here. And then what you do is this. You can click the effects next to it. That would hide the effects. Because I kind of like that Minimax too on there. The noise. Yep, the noise on there. I could do that. So I could leave all of those except for that solid composite right there. Opacity 100%. Luminosity. So I could do something. I could turn it on and change that and see if that would pay attention to it. The blending modes. Blending modes are great. So maybe just color. Nope. It's still going to do it as a whole image. So that's not good. I'm just going to turn it off. Just like that. And now we're kind of getting into territories I didn't mean to get into, but hey, it's pretty fun. This is a great program. All right. I'm going to end the tutorial here. We set some basic keys. You can move keys around. The only other thing to talk about, I guess, is this top bar here. This is the one that if you come to these little mountains down here, kind of zoom in on an area, okay, or zoom out. And these are the keyframes that I have right in here. This will go down to frame by frame. And I could zoom out like this, and it would show the entire thing, okay? I could also have this area, which is my work area. This is what's going to render out when we render, which I'll have to do a video for rendering, which is great. It's pretty good. But if I did a playback, just to show you, I could focus in on one area, like right here. And it's just playing back that one section, okay? But when I go to make a movie out of this thing, I would have to change this back to this over here, the full spectrum. That way, whatever I render out, it's going to be based off of this time ruler, okay? When I shrink the time ruler, it's going to be called the work area, okay? Because you're now segregating a work area to focus in on, and you're paying attention to your animation and all that good stuff. So that's pretty good, and it's really powerful, okay? You would also do that if you don't have a whole lot of RAM in your computer to be able to play the entire scene back. You could just shorten an area, and this little green part right here indicates what is loaded into RAM, okay? So when that's loaded into RAM, you're perfect, you're good there, and that's going to play back in real time, okay? So I'm going to end this now. I've said that like 3 times, 4 times, I'm not even sure, but I don't want to get too long with this tutorial, okay? So I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Bye.